Hi, everyone. I'm James Protin. I'd like to give a special thank you to our sponsors for the podcast, Candelore's Barking Beauties, with 5 locations throughout the region, and His Place Coffee Community and more here in Menneson for hosting us.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Candelore, owner of Candelore's Barking Beauties, where our salon is your salon. We have 5 convenient locations, no appointment needed. All breeds welcome. Any size dog. We are open Tuesday through Saturday from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. We have 5 convenient locations: Elizabeth, White Oak, Finleyville, Monongahela, and Irwin. Love to have you visit us.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the podcast today. Our guest today is Dionne Malush. A lot of people in the Mon Valley in southwestern Pennsylvania have heard that name or familiar with it in the real estate industry. Dionne is the co-owner of Realty One Group Gold Standard, which is the fastest growing real estate company in the Pittsburgh market. She's been a listing and marketing specialist since 2004. And we'll get into that's a great story. We'll get into that here in a moment. But she's got a list of accolades that we can discuss. I won't get into it right now because we won't have enough time left in the show to actually have a conversation. But one of the cool things that Dionne does, and this is one of the things I've always respected about you, is you always give back to the community. And in Monongahela, you're a Christmas girl, and you started Santa's Secret Shop down in Monongahela in 2020, which I've had my grandkids there often. It's nice. A wonderful place. But so Dionne, thank you for joining us. It's great to have you here.
I appreciate it. It's exciting to be here. I'm excited for you doing this podcast because I know you're such a pillar in our community, and
I appreciate it.
Sharing with you is a great experience. So happy to be here.
Well, good. So Realty One Group, you had mentioned to me just as we were talking before we started, is that I know you guys started with just you and your partner, just the two of you, and you're now in 4 years at 200 agents?
Mm-hmm. We just hit 200. So you always have...
And that's not without acquisition, that's organically, right?
Yeah, that's totally organic. We're not paying people to join our company. We're actually, building a company with good values and morals and a great model. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that I think that Realty One Group offered to us as a franchise, is we had a model that was unseen in the Pittsburgh market.
Right.
So when I went to meet with the franchise, the reason that I started a real estate company was because it was a disruption model. We could come into a market and we could do things differently. Pittsburgh's been the same old market for 100 years, right?
Sure.
Same thing over and over again. And when I was able to see what we could do to help other people, so giving back, right? And helping the agents so that they can make more money, they could have more success, I knew right away that would be the driving force on how we would grow.
And I know several of your agents as well as you, and listen, these people are just, they have so much respect for you guys, and they're so loyal, and that's the sign of a great company. And that says a lot about not just you guys, but Realty One Group as a corporation.
It is great. We do attract amazing people, and I think that's partially because of our mindset in going in. We don't want or need every agent in the Pittsburgh market, and sometimes we've made a mistake and hired the wrong ones, but we know relatively quickly if they're right or wrong. And we have people that seriously have our back and are good, loyal, giving people to each other. And what we're seeing in Realty One Group Gold Standard is something I've never seen in any of the companies that I've been at. And my path took me to many companies because I always felt like I was never getting what I was told. Mm-hmm. So I'd go to a company, they have all these things, and then you'd never see the owner, you would never have the conversations that we're having with our agents. So I wanted to be different in more than just the money. So I think that's something that we do. We're there, we're accessible, we're relevant, we know everything about real estate. And I always say that we would go up against any managerial or ownership in the entire Pittsburgh market, and none of them have the experience that Mike and I have as real estate agents.
Sure.
So having that has been huge because we know what's going on every day, right? We're part of it. So I think that's been a great part of our company for sure.
Sure. And you knew what to look for because you've had a successful career in real estate before you started this company. And in fact, you and I had a conversation, and I was thinking about this the other day when we talked about you coming on the podcast, is we had a conversation about 10 years ago. and we had lunch, and I remember distinctly you telling me you were frustrated, and you were telling me what you wanted and you know what you were looking for out of a career in life and those types of things, and it's exactly what you just described. You know, I remember that because it resonated with me because I was in the same place in a different industry, right? And I even actually looked at real estate, but I haven't had the time to devote to it. But that's because it's a great career, and I think it's a wonderful career, especially for, you know, somebody who has been a stay-at-home mom, has raised a family, and is looking to get back into the workforce. It's something that you can learn easily, and if you're a hustler, you can make a great living at it.
You really can. There's so much opportunity in real estate. And I know, you know, HGTV, it makes it look really easy.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. You know, just like every career, there's things that are difficult about real estate.
Sure.
A lot of things. You know, we don't get paid until it closes, right? So you work for months with the same client.
Right.
And then 2 days before closing, the deal falls apart. At that point, you get nothing.
Right, and you're not going to get that steady 2-week paycheck.
No, you're
that,
not.
You know, you have to really go out and work for it, and you have to be able to carry that. You know, so it's not for everyone.
No, definitely not for everyone. But it is, when you do put the time and energy into it, one thing I tell our agents, and I think this is really important, if you looked at real estate like a 40-hour-a-week work week, if you actually worked 40 hours a week, could you get one listing or one sell each week? You 100% could. The problem with a lot of agents is they don't work 40 hours. Sure. They work sporadic. They go get their nails done. They go to lunch. They do this. They do that. But
Right.
they don't focus for 40 hours every week.
Sure.
If that happens, there is no way you cannot succeed in this business.
Right.
But instead, it's like, I'm an independent contractor. I'm doing
Sure.
it my way. I'm not working today because I have to do this or that. So I think that's one thing that helped me be successful is that I was a grinder. I
You did it as a
worked and
job.
worked and worked and worked.
Right, right.
You know, I did everything from, you know, envelopes, handwriting envelopes, and, you know, all the admin tasks to get to the point where I could hire an admin. And then once I knew I hit a certain level of, you know, 30 to 40 transactions in a year, then I hired an admin that catapulted me to do 60 to 70 to almost 80 transactions in a year
Okay.
as a single agent,
Sure.
which is a great feat.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
Yeah, so it's been an exciting career. It's been super stressful. I can tell you, you know, there's times, like for instance, we were just talking yesterday about a seller that wanted to back out of a deal, right? That doesn't happen often.
Right.
But when it does, like the buyer, when it happened, the buyer was living in a hotel because they had already sold their house. So they were in trouble. They have nowhere to
Yeah,
go, you know.
right,
So
right.
things like that happen where people's lives are really on the line. They don't.
Absolutely.
They just don't know what to do. So there's a lot of chaos in real estate. As agents grow and build, they should always want to have an admin, the first thing that they do, because that helps them to take away the
Right.
paperwork. So anyways, real estate. It's a great opportunity. You take 75 hours of class, and then you get involved
Sure.
with a company like ours. We actually have a mentor program where a brand new agent works with a successful agent for 5 transactions and teaches them the ins and outs of real estate.
Right.
Helps catapult their success, no doubt.
Sure. No, that's amazing. And so Realty One Group it's like a national corporation, right?
So,
It's
yeah.
all over the country.
Yeah, so we're just we're venturing into Italy now, and I
Wow.
think Costa Rica and Canada, a couple
Okay.
of other countries, I can't remember them all. But so when we bought our franchise, we were number 104. I think they're at 390 now. So we were,
Okay.
you know, in the first third of
Sure. Wow.
Realty One groups, and we brought the franchise to Pittsburgh. So we were the first ones to come, which helped us a lot because there's other Realty Ones that have a different name. Like we are Gold Standard,
Okay.
which is the best name in all of Realty One Group because we're black and gold and we're
Right.
Pittsburgh. So I
Right,
mean,
right.
Gold Standard. So that story is awesome. So in 2000 and what year was that? 2014, I think I put a note in my phone of what I would name a real estate company, and I have in my phone it's Standard Real Estate. Because of John Rockefeller, I
Sure.
thought Standard
Okay.
Oil,
Standard
Standard
Oil,
Real Estate,
right,
right?
right.
So then when we made a list of names,
That's fascinating.
yeah, it was so cool. When we made a list of names, like Mike and I made a list, and then we shared it with our spouses, and the Gold Standard was on my list, and they liked it, we liked it, and that's what we picked. And then one day I was looking through my phone, and I was like, oh, I already had that in my head, you know?
Right,
so,
right.
So Standard Real Estate became Gold Standard, Realty One Group Gold Standard. So
That's awesome.
it is a great name, great for marketing, and I see other companies. It's so funny because I see some of the big companies now, they're using black and gold, even though their colors are like red and blue, and they're using black and gold because, you know, we look so good in black and gold. But
Right.
yeah, it's been an exciting adventure. It's been hard. We've been pushed, you know, by other companies. Just
Competition's a great thing.
Yeah,
You know,
and
makes
they
everybody better.
trying to turn us in and do things telling people that this is a funny one. They told that we charge $25 per question because we give the agents most of the money back.
Yeah.
So there's no way they could give you support. So we charge $25 a question. Like, we would be millionaires by now if we charged for every question that we've had in the last 4 years.
Right.
That's like kind of the silly stuff, but they keep pounding that into their agents' heads.
Right.
So that they're
Right.
like, the grass isn't always greener. It's not.
Yeah.
It's golder.
There you go. There you go. That's
So,
awesome. That
anyways.
is awesome. But you're not resting on your laurels, even though you've had this incredible growth in the last 4 years, and by every single possible metric, you're wildly successful, you guys, with Realty One Group. But you don't rest on your laurels. You are always doing something to grow and learn and make yourself better.
For sure. So one thing we didn't talk about, and I'll just throw this in. In the last year, we've also opened a mortgage company, a title company, and an insurance agency. So we became the one-stop shop, and we followed other companies to watch what they're doing, and it made sense. You know, we closed 2,155 transactions last year. More than half of those are buyer side, so we have an opportunity to get a percentage of that and grow the ancillary businesses.
Sure. Okay.
So that being said, how we learned about that is Mike and I have joined several coaching groups in the country and mastermind groups. So we learned about how we could grow a mortgage company inside of a real estate agency.
Okay.
Funny thing is, the mortgage company that we have is also a franchise, and it's a RE/MAX franchise.
Oh, okay.
But RE/MAX doesn't care if we're Realty One or if we're RE/MAX, right? Because we bought a franchise and we're building its Motto Mortgage Keystone. It's such an exciting adventure having a mortgage company. I didn't realize how cool it would be to be able to offer that and to help the buyers, you know, get a better rate or better closing costs or just find the best fit for them. And then we opened in the same month, we opened an insurance agency, WeInsure. It's also a franchise.
Okay.
Built to go inside of a real estate company and to do so we can do real estate business or we can do your business, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
so we
amazing
have-
because that's, you know, buying a home for the majority of Americans is the largest investment they'll ever make in their life.
Ever.
Right? So this is, you're dealing with people at a level where most people don't, you know, when you're in real estate, because again, this is an investment that is a once in a lifetime deal for the average American, right? So you have a lot of responsibility there.
We do. We surely do. And we're doing everything we can to give them the best opportunity as a buyer and seller. So that's a cool thing. But so let's go back to coaching. So as far as real estate goes, I realized about my second year in that I would need help. And how do you get help other than learning from people that are more successful than you, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I read a lot of Think and Grow Rich, and even in the Bible it talks about seeking expert counsel, right?
Right.
So how you do that is you hire a coach. How does Ben Roethlisberger become the best quarterback in Pittsburgh? He has coaches, multiple coaches.
Right.
He has a mindset coach, throwing coach, running coach, all the coaches that he has.
Sure.
So I looked at myself and thought, if I want to be super successful, then I need to follow what successful people do.
Sure.
Successful people have coaches. And it's not always about real estate. I've had mindset coaches, I've had life coaches, I've had really great real estate coaches. I still do. And now we're involved in mastermind groups across the country with business leaders in different industries that aren't even real estate, where we can learn from them and then come back here and implement. It's exciting because when we go away and we go to an event, we come back and Mike and I are so full of ideas. Our staff is like, oh no,
Stop
please
it.
Stop, don't come back. But
Right.
coaching has been an important part of my success.
Sure.
And if, as a real estate agent, out of the 14 years that I was just an agent and not an owner, 12 of those years I had a coach. So that's how important it was to me.
It's critically
yeah,
important.
it's really important. You learn the systems, way they do things. Right now we have a coach that she's in Atlanta, and she was in Hawaii.
Okay.
She moved to Atlanta and didn't know a single person and rebuilt her real estate business. You know how hard that has to be, to start from scratch?
Exactly.
So we have her training our agents. So and they're not moving; they're in the same market. So she's helping them grow. So we
Right.
have her come in once a month. We do a lot of that. Hire outside trainers to
Okay.
come in rather than just the inside trainings. We have plenty of training and support.
Right.
But I really like bringing someone from the outside because I'm a firm believer in Think and Grow Rich and the way you seek expert counsel, and that is through coaching.
Yeah, and it's always nice to have a fresh perspective.
For sure.
Somebody that's not entrenched and, they're looking from the outside and they can
Right.
see things that you, being in the midst of it, you can't see it.
For
right?
sure.
Now, have you noticed an overlap between when you're doing professional coaching into your personal life and then vice versa, if you're doing lifestyle coaching, and has that crossed over and impacted your professional career and how you've made decisions?
It definitely has, and I think a lot of things, especially owning a company, a lot of things like, for instance, when an agent left our company, it was heartbreaking for me because I took it personally.
Okay.
And because I felt like I gave everything, everything of me, and
Right.
why isn't that enough? Well, when companies are out there paying money for people to go there,
Right.
it doesn't matter what I do.
That's very true.
There's going to be a person that really needs that money, right?
Yeah.
And I understand that. But what I didn't understand, and one of my friends years ago talked to me about dogs, and this is a silly analogy, but when you have a dog, their lifespan is not like ours is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So say you have 10 years of a dog. If you give that dog the best of you in those 10 years, that's what you're here for, to help them, give them a great life, right? So that
Sure.
when they're not here anymore, you can say, I did my very best.
And that's a great analogy.
Right.
That really is, as a business owner or a manager
Right.
in any kind of corporation, because people come and go. That's what they do.
They do. And
You
there's
know.
always going to be attrition, right? There's always that, especially in real estate, because people always jump. And, I did it myself, so I understand. But with people, I had to look at it the same way and think, I remember the one day when a person left, and I was just heartbroken. And I'm like, how could he do that to me? He was just sitting beside me a week ago, and I was helping him,
Yeah.
teaching him all these things. And that day, I realized it's the same idea as the dog.
Right.
When they're here, I give them the very best of me. So when they leave or something happens, I can never look back and say that I didn't do my very best.
And that's
if
wonderful.
if I do say that I did something wrong, then I need to fix that.
Exactly.
But I had to change it because it was affecting my health. So life coaching helped a lot during that because I realized I can't let this get the best of me because
Sure.
even though I'm a high D personality, like off the charts D, I still have this part that I guess that maybe it's just being a woman where it just affects me so much. I didn't have kids, so I guess I treat them like my children, right?
Yeah.
And it affects
makes
me.
sense,
Yeah,
sure.
so it's really hard. That's been one of the hardest things. And if I ever wanted to give up, it would be those days. Because you'd be like, how could you do this? And how could you leave when I'm doing everything I can to help you? And so that's a hard part of it, I have to tell
It
you.
is. It is.
And
It's-
I've never
it's
faced that
very
kind
hard.
of thing. I mean, you
Right.
had a seller or a buyer that got mad, and I remember there's sellers that when they call you have a stomach ache, like your stomach, you see the phone and you're like, oh, you're stressing me out. They're gonna ask me the same question. Did
Yeah.
you hear anything? No, we didn't hear anything, or I would be calling you. But yeah, so we go through the same process
Sure.
over and over again. But I never felt that impact of when you care so deeply for people.
Right.
And that's what God wants us to be.
Sure.
Good, caring people, right?
Right.
It doesn't mean we're not going to get hurt.
Well, because that's the best and worst thing about being a leader at the same time, right? You need to care about people to be an effective leader. Okay, so you're going to get hurt. There's going to be times where you're going to get punched in the gut, right? I mean, engineering is a very transient career the same way. It's not unusual at all for a very talented engineer to work for 5 or 6 companies over
Really?
the course of their career.
So that's very similar, right?
So it's very similar. And I say it's transient, and that's because there are people who are motivated to go to work by money. Right? So they're going to go and they're going to endure an unpleasant work environment because they're being paid a certain salary that they have in their head, right? But then there are other people who they'll take a little bit less of a salary because they want that warmth, they want that caring person. They want to be with somebody like that. They want to be able to be nurtured and pulled along, and they want a hug.
Yeah.
Right? So you have two very dramatically different types of people, the different motivations for people as far as, their work life, right?
Yeah.
So
imagine our surprise when that same thing happens and we're sitting across from an agent where their income difference is anywhere between $30,000 and $70,000 more with us. And they say, "But I like my manager." And I'm like, "Okay, guys, but if your manager got a $30,000 increase, your manager would leave." Right?
True.
So
True.
What you're saying, so for the first year, Mike and I focused on money, 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 money. You're going to make this much more money.
Right.
And we kept sitting there like puzzled and mad, like angry, like this could change your family's life. You don't
absolutely
$30,000 to $50,000, even if you put it in the bank for 5 years.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
It's life changing.
It's
It really
life-
is.
So
It really is.
why isn't everyone knocking down the doors?
Yeah.
Because money is not the driving factor for
Right.
most.
Right.
For me,
No,
it's a
you're
driving
exact-
factor.
You're exactly right. It all depends on, when I started my professional journey, when I get into engineering, I'm not an engineer by education, right?
Okay.
So I started in the construction business and different things, and I kind of morphed into the engineering business, okay? So it was something that was a career that more chose me than I chose it, right? So when I sat and I started to look, I was young, in my early 20s, and I would see, okay, this guy's a vice president. He does this. I like what he does, right? And these guys over here, they're making $100,000 a year. That's the goal, right? So vice president, 100. Those things stuck in my head, okay? Well, then I got there, and I'm like, what was I thinking? This isn't that great because this company stinks. You know what I mean? So I arrived at those things in a company that was just toxic. All right. So then I had to step back, and much like you said, going into to different masterminds and different things like that, and I found a mentor, okay, that really opened my eyes, and I realized that I was being driven by something that's not me, right? I'm not a fancy guy. I drive a Honda Accord. I love that car. I don't need to drive a Mercedes. But if you drive a Mercedes, that's great. I think it's a great car, right? But when I look at my car, my Honda, I have everything in that car that's in this Mercedes, okay? And I paid $40,000 less for it, right? So, but it gets me where I want to go. I'm comfortable. I love it, okay? So I realized that that's the person I am. I want to be comfortable. I want to be appreciated, but I'm not really motivated. I can wear a Timex or a Rolex. It still keeps time. 2 o'clock's 2 o'clock, right? So that's how I got motivated. But when you're in the position you are in as a leader in a firm, right, you have to have that financial motivation,
right?
Or you won't succeed.
Yeah, right. And we do, and it's not even about
It's
things.
balance. You have to balance.
Yeah. So why do I want to make money? Because I want to be able to help my parents. I want to be able to help my family. I want to be able to help other people. I want to be able to do things for the church and to help families.
Sure.
Yeah. And so that's really my motivation. But do I like nice things? Sure, and that's okay, right?
Everybody does. That's absolutely okay.
That's what I want.
And I think if you're motivated to go out and work hard because you want to have a Mercedes instead of a Honda, that's a wonderful thing.
Heck yeah.
That's a wonderful thing because I like all those things too. I want to give back to the community. I want to take care of my family. I want to give back to the church. I want to give back to So all of those things are still there. But for me, I was financially motivated for the wrong reasons. Now I'm financially motivated for the right reasons. And that's what you just said, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not about the car, but it's about everything else that I can
that
do.
You can do with it, right.
So,
and they say a lot of people when they hit the lottery that they are broke very quickly. Mm-hmm. And I look at that and I think they're focused on the wrong things. Right? There's a way to take that money and change lives. There's a way to open a real estate company and change people's lives, right? And I always say it's my goal to affect someone's life in a positive way every single day. Mm-hmm. One of our top agents sent me a text the other day and said, I'll just read it to you because I think it really shocked me because you just don't know how people feel until they do this. So she sent me this thing. It said, "This made me think of you." And it said, hold on, it's important, okay. if you can lay down at night knowing in your heart that you made someone's day just a little bit better, you know you had a good day. And she wrote, this reminds me of you. And I said, that's by far one of the nicest things I've had anyone say in a while. She said, it's totally true. And I sat there and I thought, that right there, those kind of things are the reason.
That's exactly right.
Right, that we're doing this. And, you know, can we get success from that? Sure. And do we want success? Absolutely. You know, we're not doing it, we're not doing it as a charity.
Right.
We're doing it to be successful. There have actually been people that have left our company because they didn't want us to make money.
Sure.
You know, because they're...
Oh, I get it, yeah.
And I'm thinking, guys, that's why we did this. You know, we did this to make money. But it's not that when we make money that we're going to be different. I'm not any different, and you know me, right? You said 10 years ago we sat down.
Absolutely.
Do you see me as a different person?
Not at all.
Okay.
And that's one of the wonderful things about you, and that's one of the things I respect about you, because despite that success, you haven't changed who you are a bit. You know?
I mean, because I came from, we didn't have much growing up, you know, and I talked about this just a couple of weeks ago in this room that we're sitting in. Our bedroom that we grew up in was probably 1/3 of this room, and 3 girls in the same bedroom till I was 18.
Yeah.
We had 1 closet and 1 dresser.
Right.
And a bunk bed. So, you know, I look at that and I actually use that as motivation. Some days I'll drive past there and I'll be like, and I'll say to myself, I don't want to go back there. You know? Although I loved our growing up, our parents, I mean, I had the best food. My mom and dad are such good cooks. We had homemade food every night. What I wouldn't do for that now. I have restaurant food almost every night. It's definitely not the same as my parents.
That's exactly right.
But, you know, the love, and you couldn't walk through the hallway without touching, right? Because it was small.
Right.
And so we had that love, and my parents, you know, they met in May of 1967, and in August they were married. 3 months, they've been married 54 years.
That's
so
wonderful.
they knew each other for 3 months.
Yeah.
I came along the following June, so I've pretty much known them their entire time together, right?
Sure, yeah.
So when I see that and I realize, you know, we didn't have a lot,
Right.
but we really had a lot.
Exactly.
A lot of people today wish that they had the love that we had in their family and the respect. I just left for 2 weeks and stopped my whole life to go take care of my parents that were sick.
Yeah.
And you don't see people doing that as
Well,
much
it's a beautiful
anymore.
thing. And, you know, you're right. You don't, sometimes it's till we get to where we are in life that we can look back and appreciate what we thought was a struggle back then was really a blessing.
But the struggle teaches you, right?
Exactly right.
And so
You would be a different person
Yeah.
if you had a different
yeah,
childhood.
because I always said, like, what if we
You know.
just moved to Miami when we were kids? Like, maybe I would be dead,
Exactly.
right? Maybe I would have gone in with the wrong crowd and just, who knows?
You're exactly
You
right.
know, so I lived in a safe. We had this, you know, I was safe. I had parents I adored. You know, there was days, of course, I'm sure that they didn't like how I was, and I didn't like being disciplined. But, you know, I mean, I love them so much. And so, you know, when I
That's
think about
beautiful.
all the reasons why I want to do this, I want them to not be struggling at all.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when my sisters and I, 2 weeks ago, you know, they both, one sister was going to Seattle, the other one works for the post office, so she can't just stop. She can't
Right.
leave like that, right? But I have an opportunity because now I have staff that can help.
Sure.
So I can go for 2 weeks, and my partner and my staff, I picked up and helped.
Right.
So, you know, those are some of the cool things. I mean, the Realty One Group Gold Standard, it's hard. It's a hard thing, and you probably can see the bags that I didn't have under my eyes 10 years ago. But there's so much joy and happiness that comes out of it. It's just amazing.
And that's wonderful, because you just touched on what you said in the last few minutes, touched on every possible motivation to go out and do what we do, what you do, what I do. Every day when we go out, when I walk out the door, my intention every single day is to be the best man I could be and to make Terry and the family and everybody proud of me, right? And that's not because I got to go out and win a $10 million project, or I have to go do this or that. It's just going out and being the best possible man I can be and having a positive influence in everybody's life that I run into, right? To leave everybody that I talk to better than when I found them.
And you do that.
You know?
So
well, I try.
you do.
know,
You
so-
do that just in social media posting. Your posts are so inspiring and helpful, and I think that you being consistent with that shows a lot about you.
Well, I try, and that's because I've had a few people who have reached out and told me how much that means to them, right? So I don't do that for money. I don't make any money off of that whatsoever. And that's why I do it on Facebook. I put it on my Facebook page. I write it every morning. But just yesterday, a young fella from Shoppe that I knew his dad when we were growing up, and he's the same age as my son, and they were always competing against each other. You know, Seth was from Belle Vernon, and he's just been a great kid from the time he was just a kid. And they're in their late 30s now, and he called me out of the blue yesterday morning. It was about 9 o'clock in the morning. He was going to work, and just wanted to tell me how much that meant to him. That he reads the blog every day, and he just wanted to be, it really, really helps him, and that meant so much to me. Listen, I had a great day yesterday because of that phone call. Right?
Yeah, so you affect him and he affects you.
Right. So it comes back. Whatever you put out there is going to come back to you.
I mean, that's in the Bible like probably 30 times, right?
Exactly.
Giving and receiving, it's all about it. And like this place here, what a cool place to be doing this.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Right? His place, this coffee shop is awesome in Monessen. And the church, Christian Center Church, when they started this project, and I was going to their church, like the pastor had such an amazing vision, but when you walk in here and
it's exactly what it's his vision.
Yeah.
And Pastor Tim's going to be our guest tomorrow on the next episode. And but live, love, learn, pray, and inspire, right? And it's a coincidence that we're here because
it's really
of that,
not, right?
But it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
And I was when I found this place, the reason I found, and I knew I had talked to Pastor Tim and everybody, and I knew they were doing this, but I hadn't been here yet, right? So we had a snowstorm. It was one of the snowstorms in January, I went to 2 coffee shops, and they were both closed.
Nice.
Okay, they weren't open yet, and so I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to go see if they're open. And I came here, and they were. And I came in, and I was, and I called him. I called Nick, my man behind the camera, and I said, I found the place. Come here. And he came over here and he said, wow, and it was the same thing. And a lot of it was convenience, right?
Yeah.
Because they work with us and we can schedule guests
Sure.
and really at any time. We're not confined to after hours, or, we're not disrupting their, everything's going on out there.
Right. It's busy
We're not
today.
disrupting that at all. They have a great business going. People were having, they're talking, they're having coffee, and we're doing what we're doing here. And it works.
It works great.
Right?
It's awesome.
So yeah, it's a big shout out to them. They've
For sure.
been more than accommodating to us.
And Pastor Tim's one of the people I called when my parents were sick. Can you please pray for me and them?
There you go.
And so he did, and he was so busy that day. I remember it was just 2 weeks ago. He was so busy, had so much to do. I think he called me at like 9:30 at night and prayed for me and my parents. So he is an amazing human being.
He's an amazing guy, and what they're doing here in this community in Monessen, it is the perfect location for their mission and the vision for this place. It's perfect.
It's funny because growing up in the Mon Valley, I never really looked at it like I do today. Mm-hmm. And I have the funny saying, I always say, I'm making the Mon Valley great again.
There you go.
Feel a little fun. But, so we started buying rental properties in Monongahela, and we have one in Denora, we have 2 in Belle Vernon, and what I'm seeing, Mon Valley is coming back.
Yeah, and you and Jason have invested.
We have.
You're a part of that, right? And not only with rental properties and repurposing buildings, but with Santa's Secret Shop, which is so cool. Kids love that. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing, and it's the coolest, sweetest little thing that you could have done in that community. Right?
Yeah, and Monongahela is growing like crazy, and
Absolutely.
the river, being on the river, there's just so many advantages. Mm-hmm. Growing up here, I took advantage of that, so
Sure.
we were jet skiing and boating, and the river, I
learned how to
loved
swim in
it.
it.
You did? Yeah, I don't swim in the river though. That's one thing.
We'll edit that out if my mother's watching this, because
I think my parents definitely swam in the river, but I love the river sports and the fun things to do, and you just make the best of it. Do I love going on vacation? I surely do. There's so many places in the United States that are amazing, and I go and I think maybe I should move. But now that I'm so grounded in this area with this company, I'm going to be here for a long time. So I figure I might as well do what I can to make it better. We have an agent here in Monessen, Joe Bransma. He is doing everything he can to help Monessen, and he is such a great human being. So
that's awesome.
Buying properties, they're fixing them up, they're renovating. There's some other things he's doing that are coming soon to Monessen, but he believes in it so much. And again, it's us attracting these amazing human beings to our company
exactly
that are doing great things for other people. So It's just pretty cool.
It is cool. And I hope I'm not putting you on a spot, but talk to me for a minute about the difference in the real estate market here in the Valley and in just 25 miles away in Pittsburgh. I mean, do you see it as a competition? I mean, because to me it seems like, and not being a real estate professional, it seems like you can get a lot more house here in the Valley, obviously, than you can in the Pittsburgh suburbs, right?
You absolutely can. And so you get much more bang for your buck here, but you have to be willing to drive a little. So if you're working in town, you're going to drive 40 to 45 minutes. And a lot of people are willing to do it because they're...
And access from here is difficult into the city.
Yeah.
Has that ever come up in when you're looking at people who are looking at homes here?
I think thanks to 43, since 43 has been open, I think that's helped a lot because you can't, even for myself, it's part of my daily travel.
Sure.
So that helps. I wish it would get done. If they could take 43 into Pittsburgh sometime before I'm 100, that would be awesome.
And that's the most important part of that road. Is from 51 into the city.
It's so important, when that gets done. But I feel like you can definitely get a lot of house. There's been times, like for instance, I'll give you an idea on a rental property that we bought here in Menneson. My brother-in-law and we bought a property for $11,500, right? And it needed a roof, it needed a couple things, and there were 2 renters in the property already. So it came with the renters. Renters are paying total $975 a month. So think about that, $11,500. Maybe we have $6,000 in reno, right? And then we're getting $950 a month.
That's amazing.
So you can't do that outside of the Mon Valley. There's just not that kind of opportunity.
Well, there aren't $11,000 buildings on every street, right? So, but there are a lot of those here that really just need some TLC. People have a tendency to look at buildings and it's $10,000. It needs $50,000. Well, no, maybe it needs $5,000.
Yeah, but here's the funny thing: it's still, even if it needed $50,000, it's still now it's only $60,000, and you're still still in it at a great place.
right?
Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunity here still, and we purchased a couple of multi-units in Monongahela, the Yoe building, which is that corner one. That was a big purchase for us. We had a 12-unit building, but I love the old buildings and the old construction and. And
there's so many right now in all of these communities that you could really get those types of deals, and really do something to repurpose it and give back to the community. Give the community something it needs.
My brother-in-law bought a place here in Menneson that I think it's like a 9-room house, and he made it into where they share the kitchen, share the bath.
Okay, sure.
So he has, it's such a great idea, and there's plenty of people to rent. You know what I mean? That's the good thing. In Menneson, with having Douglas here in Menneson, there's a lot of opportunity for renters.
And they need student housing.
They do.
They really do, because they're doing very well. Yeah. So that's one thing that they struggle with.
I worked there I taught there for 2 years. I love that. It was so fun. But that's just what he's done here in Menneson is amazing. So
absolutely.
This is where my grandparents are both from, Menneson.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, anyways,
I'm a Shoppe guy, so maybe we shouldn't even be talking.
I mean, we probably not, but I'm from Bell Vernon. So my dad was from Clairton. My mother
was from Clairton.
She was?
Yeah.
Oh, neat. Yeah. So my mom met him. She was driving through Clairton, and then they met, and 3 months later they eloped, and
nice.
It's been a beautiful love story. They've had their ups
that
and
is
downs,
amazing.
It is. Because don't think about that.
I know.
A lot of times you'll see like the actors or actresses, they hurry up, run away, get married, then a year later they're divorced.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my parents, they've been through a lot, but they got through it all. So.
Well, they love each other.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
love's
really
what gets you through it.
Love is the answer for all of this.
Sure. Okay, so your journey, your entrepreneurial journey, has not been all smooth sailing, right? You've had some choppy seas, and it's never easy. Okay.
No, it's definitely not easy. When I went to art school because that was the easy way, which I just didn't want to leave and go away, and I could have went to school for anything else, but I went for art school. So getting a job in the art industry, as a graphic designer, that's not the easiest thing.
Sure.
So immediately when I got out of art school, I started my own company. Guess where? Right here in Menneson. at the incubator right down the road.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
sure.
So that's where I started. I started my company, and I worked for a couple of places, and I realized that I wasn't a good worker. I just wasn't good at taking orders and people telling me what to do. So therefore, I became entrepreneurial. My dad had his own business pretty much all of my life, so I knew that lifestyle.
Right.
So I was used to that inconsistency of the roller coaster ride of being self-employed. So I started.
And that's a good way to explain it. It is that.
Yeah, it is. You just never know.
Right.
And so that's where you have to have some solid faith, and you have to have, positive thinking and keep thinking about all the things that you want, because you can, what you think about, you bring about. So
Sure,
if you
you're
keep
right. You're
doing that,
absolutely right.
it will happen, but you can't just sit on the couch watching TV while you're thinking about it. You have to actually do things.
Yeah.
But so we started here, and I got into the graphic design business, and I did
Okay.
well. It went relatively well for a long time. That was my sole income. I created so many things in the Mon Valley. Like everywhere I would go, I'd see things that I made, shirts or brochures or websites or logos, and it was a really fulfilling business.
Okay.
And then I got into a partnership that was not fulfilling, and it took about a year for the partnership to destroy everything that I did.
Really?
So I remember how it was really hard because one of my partners lost their job at a hospital, and when he did, he wanted to come in and get rid of half the staff and cut salaries, and I'm like, you can't do this. We have 11 employees. We can't do that. You can't do the job of 6 of those people.
Sure, right.
But he was making $100,000 a year at the hospital, and he had
And
to
then that
figure
was
it
gone.
out. Yeah, it's gone.
Right.
So it was a disaster. He came in, we were arguing, fighting. So there were 2 of them and myself. So they overruled me because I couldn't.
Okay.
Right? I was still the president of the company, but they had more power together.
Okay.
I was the one that built the business for 17 years. They came
Right.
in at the end. And so I can remember, crazy, I've told this story so many times, but I remember when we had every employee come to this back room. We had this dark room. They come in one at a time. We'd say, okay, you're either getting your salary is getting cut or you're getting laid off. And I didn't speak hardly the entire day. Like, I was just infuriated, and I kept getting madder and madder as the day goes on. So at the end of the day, I get all of my stuff off my desk, and I said, I'm giving you my 90-day notice, because that's what my contract said. You had to give 90-day notice.
Okay.
During that time, they took out a loan without me and did some things that were pretty crappy. And I left my own company. And day 89, I got 2 trucks and about 10 guys, and I went and I took all my stuff. I took the whole everything, the embroidery machines, the screen printing machines, all the files.
Well, good for you, yeah.
My computers.
That's the stuff that you built.
I wiped them out. They came in and they called the police, and the police are like, "There's nothing we can do. She's her company. I mean, she's the president of the company. This is not a criminal. It's a civil." So it was like a cartoon, as you saw all of these machines in the back of a truck, not even instant closed, driving down 51, bringing it all to me. So that's what we did. We took them.
Wow.
I feel
they
like
came in and basically just stole what you had built.
They did. And they said some nasty things to me and things that I won't forget. But it is also, I'm so thankful that they did that, because if it wasn't for that experience, I wouldn't be here today.
You wouldn't be here today.
No.
Right.
So I had to do that. And it affected me. It affected my health. I mean, we had to call the ambulance. I thought I was having a heart attack. Like, everything that I built was getting taken from me.
Right. That's the punch in the gut.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there's a lot worse things that can happen to people, and it's not like the saddest story on the earth. But for me at that moment, it was hard. And Jason was there to see me go through it. And I remember Jason actually, it was so funny. He went after one of them. We were sitting at Bill's Golf Land, if you can imagine. So it's when cell phones were new, right? Because this was 2003. So I'm sitting with my cell phone like this on, and I had it on. They didn't know. And we're having this conversation at Bill's, me and the 2 partners. And one of them said something wrong to me, and here comes Jason. I'm like, oh my God. And Jason's like, let's go, take him outside. And I'm like, oh. So it was so crazy. Jason was so mad because he knew they were destroying everything that I worked for,
Right.
So they went to the police again. The police are like, this is guy and guy thing. Like, figure it out, He's like, I want a PFA against Jason. I'm like,
well, but when you think about, 17 years,
that's a long time.
That's your heart and soul you put into that. That's
there's
absolutely
so much
crazy.
stuff that happened, but the fact that they didn't even know that I was like recording the whole conversation. Right. But I've never seen those guys. I don't even know where they are or anything about them. But I'm thankful to them because
everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, and I didn't believe it at that moment, but now And I said, I'm never getting into partnership again. Well, here I am in a partnership.
And you're wildly successful, and it's probably the best thing you could
Yeah,
have.
it has to be. You know, I think it's Al Capone said something, or somebody about success is the greatest revenge.
Right.
Right? So wherever those two guys are, I
Yeah.
hope, you know, wherever you are.
Well, you know, and that's the thing. You know, that had to, number one, it had to hurt. Okay. Number two, it had to make you angry, right? And but through all of that, it taught you everything you need to know to get to where you're at right now.
You're right. It definitely did, and I am forever grateful.
Sure. Everything happens for a reason. You know, and the thing to me about entrepreneurship and being a business owner, and especially when you're a small business, and I know you can relate to it from back then, you know, your clients don't always put the same amount of importance on your invoices as you do.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So you don't have that consistent income. And you know, when I was doing consulting on my own, that was a hard thing to do. You know, because you send an invoice and then you wait and it doesn't come, and then you wait and then you got to call. You know, and it's tough to maintain a positive client relationship under those circumstances if you have to go out and be the bad guy and bang on the table and say, hey, you got to pay me.
Right.
You know, and I've seen a lot of consultants, and I've dealt with this in my industry, where they want half of their fee up front, right? So your first instinct is, well, why would I pay you for not doing anything? You haven't done anything yet, right? But then when you sit and think about it, they have to protect themselves as well, right? So that's really kind of a security deposit on what they're going to do for you.
For sure.
So it's definitely not easy being an entrepreneur. So how do you do the Santa Secret Shop? Let me get back to that 1 second. Who runs that for you? How do you do that?
So in 2020, during the pandemic, it was easy. We had one of our agents' moms. She helped throughout the days. 2021, which it was very difficult. We couldn't find any help for the daytime, so we were only open in the evenings, so it was a little more difficult. Basically, I did that for my parents because my parents love Christmas. My mom used to work for a company called Christmas Around the World.
Okay.
So we always had the best Christmas. They would take loans out from Beneficial just so that we had awesome Christmas. So when I opened that, when we bought that building, it was perfect. It was red and white. I said, this is a great place to do this.
There you
I
go.
love Christmas. I love Santa. I wish I could bottle Christmas into like a perfume or something that would give everybody kindness every day. I would be a billionaire. But
true statement there.
It was, just the way people treat each other. I love that part of Christmas so much, more than presents. It's just how people are to each other, and I love that. So anyways, that store brings that out, and it's a place where I can go and not have any stress at all. And we're only open seasonal, so it's only a couple of months. Hopefully this year we'll find some daytime help, but this has been a struggle with everyone getting help.
Sure, yeah, it's difficult.
So, we're open when we can, and, throughout the year I find unique Santas and things, just kind of, it's like my thing that I do just to calm my mind.
There you go. That's awesome, and you need that.
And I always wanted to be a real life Santa Claus, so about 10 years ago I wanted to give away gift cards to families during the holidays and help them, because there's a lot of people that can't have Christmas.
Sure,
So,
absolutely.
It's always in my heart. It's the baby Jesus' birthday. It's the most important day.
Absolutely.
Right? And
absolutely.
so I always think Santa is Jesus in my head, because Santa loves all the people. Sure. And Jesus loves all the people, right? Jesus gives us gifts. Santa gives us gifts. It's the same idea, but it's relatable. It's relatable story.
Yeah, and I think Santa Claus is relatable to everybody. It's something we've grown up with. Everybody's grown up with it. But I think that we should do something. Let's make a commitment to each other. We'll bring in as many people as we can. Let's do something special this year.
Okay.
All right. Let's do
that.
We'll give back, and we'll do something valley-wide.
Okay.
Okay. I'd love to do something.
It was really
like
cool when we did that. I remember the first person that we gave him a $500 gift card when we first started that, and he was one of my clients' brothers, and he had lost his both legs and one of his hands. And the other hand, I think half of his hand, because he had some kind of disease that was shutting his body down, so his organs were shutting down. And when we went to meet him to give him this gift card, because he was the winner, so we had people write stories, tell us their story,
cool.
And then we'll pick so many people for gift cards. And we went to meet him, my mom and dad and me and Jason, and he pulls up, he's driving a truck, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy is amazing, right?
Yeah.
He just took his adversities and he just kept going. He was so happy that day. We handed him that $500 gift card. So that's the reason why I want to have a lot of money. I want to help a lot of people.
That's amazing. That is totally amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that, and again, that's something that everybody can relate to, right?
Yeah.
You know, you have to give back. And what is, you know, it's cliche now, unfortunately, but, you know, to whom much has been given, much is expected, right? So I think all of us who have had any kind of success in business, you know, we have a responsibility to give back to our communities. And I think there are a lot of businesses in the Valley, you know, and one thing about the Mon Valley is that we rally around people. We rally around our own, right?
It's amazing when that happens.
I mean, it truly is. So I think that's something that,
It's just amazing when you even ask for something like a prayer.
Yeah.
Like, can you pray? And they're like, well, I'll call my friends, I'll call my cousins, I'll call my church. Like, all these people, you have people all over the United States praying just like that.
Yep.
Like, that is so cool. This is when people rally. But, I mean, that's what America is about, is people like here in the Mon Valley.
Taking care of each other. We're all in this together. You know, we all have our individual path we have to walk, you know, but you know, you're walking yours, I'm walking mine. We're together. We're here.
Yep.
You know, I'm right here, you're right there. So even though, you know, we're not sharing the same journey, we're on the same journey together. Right?
For sure.
Well, listen, I really appreciate you coming by.
It was great.
Great talking to you.
I'm glad that you guys had me on, and I appreciate it. And if you ever need anything, you know where I'm at.
Thank you so much, and good luck to you guys.
Thank you.
All right.